and welcome back to the Behind the Scenes with Sandra Frilund, and this is episode 3. Well, in this episode I will talk about pets, rabbits, crimes, Sarah Dazley, mental health, therapy, and therapy pets. A little different section there in mental health, but let's jump right into the first one, pets and rabbits. Well, as I was planning this episode, I was looking for different pets to talk about in this pet section and came across this list of pets. 2 of the most popular pets are dogs and cats. Other animals commonly kept include rabbits, ferrets, pigs, rodents such as gerbils, hamsters, chinchillas, rats, mice, and guinea pigs. Avian pets such as parrots and fowls, reptile pets such as turtles, alligators, crocodiles, lizards, and snakes. Aquatic pets such as fish, freshwater and saltwater snails, amphibians like frogs and salamanders, and arthropod pets such as tarantulas and hermit crabs. Small pets may be grouped together as pocket pets. I never heard about that term, but anywho. Well, tarantulas, reptiles, rats and so on, maybe not my favorite animals. So I'm not going to talk about them this time, even though they are indeed fascinating. Now, I think I will go lighter this time with something more normal, perhaps. Why not the cute little or big rabbit? Yeah, the advantages of keeping rabbits as pets is that they are clean, smart, cute, and soft, among other things. They may or may not react favorably to handling and petting depending on their personality and how they were raised. There are also many different sizes and characteristics available, owing to a long history of breeding. Rabbits are friendly to each other and are often compatible with other pets. Well, that's nice to know. Well, as I continued to read on rabbits, I realized I knew very little about them actually. Since I am a cat person, I really haven't done my homework on these species before, but it seems there is a lot to think about when it comes to getting a rabbit as a pet. Maybe more than getting a cat, even though you really have to think about a lot for that animal as well as for any animal, really. Well, one thing I learned while reading up on this was that rabbits are not really good pets for kids. That actually surprised me, since I remember seeing other kids having rabbits as pets when I was around 7 or 8 years old, back in the 70s. But you live and learn, as they say. It's like 2021 now, so it's a while ago. Anyways, jumping to next section. Jumping rabbit. Well, going straight to the next. Crimes and a woman called Sarah Dazley, or something to that effect. Excuse me if I didn't pronounce it right. Anywho, Sarah Dazley, 1819 to August 5th, 1843, so it's the 1800s. Later known as the Potton Poisoner. She was an English murderer convicted of the poisoning of her husband William Dazley. Dazley was suspected, but not tried, in the poisoning of her first husband, Simeon Mead, and their son, Jonah Mead, in 1840. The murder of William Dazley took place in Wrestlingworth, England. Well, soon after the death of her first husband, Dazley married her second and final husband, William Dazley, in 1841. Once married, they moved to the village of Wrestlingworth. Dazley invited teenage Anne Mead, Simeon Mead's daughter, to live with her and her new husband. William Dazley was opposed to the idea of Mead living with them, so in retaliation he became an avid drinker and beat Dazley. She went on to tell one of her friends, William Waldock, that she would kill a man who ever hit her. William Dazley grew ill and his wife, along with Anne Mead, began taking care of him. The local doctor, Dr. Sandell, gave William prescriptions that helped him show signs of recovery while under the care of Anne Mead. After seeing this, Dazley started making pills of her own for her husband. Very nice. Mead didn't notice this as a problem at first. When William refused to take the new pills, Anne took one herself to show him there was nothing wrong. She was not aware that these pills contained arsenic trioxide, that Sarah had intentionally added. Once Sarah saw Mead take the pill, she scolded her for it. After taking it, Mead became ill and shared similar symptoms with William, vomiting and stomach pains. William eventually decided to take his wife's lethal drugs and died on 30th October 1842. After his death, suspicion rose against Dazley and the death of her two husbands and son. William Dazley's body was exhumed and found to contain traces of arsenic. An arrest warrant was then issued for Dazley, who fled to London. After being discovered in London by the Superintendent of London, Biggleswade Police, Dazley insisted she was innocent of any crimes. She claimed she had no idea about any poisonings and never got a hold of poisons or anything of that nature. She was arrested and returned to Bedford. Since the news of William Dazley's death had caused suspicion regarding the death of Jonah and Simeon Mead as well, their bodies were also exhumed. Traces of arsenic were found in Jonah, but Simeon's body was too decomposed to test. Sarah Dazley was committed to Bedford Gaol, I think it's called, on 24th March 1843, and awaited her trial. Meanwhile, she used this time to provide defenses such as William poisoned himself or he poisoned Jonah and Simeon, so she poisoned William as revenge for murdering her family out of his desires for Dazley herself. On the 22nd of July 1843, Sarah Dazley was tried for the murder of William Dazley at Bedfordshire Summer Assizes. She was not tried for the murder of her son Jonah, but the case was kept if the first case against her were to fail. The chemists she bought arsenic from were able to testify against her, as well as Anne Mead and neighbor Mrs. Carver. They told the court that they had seen, including the pill making, William Waldock testified against Dazley about her statement that she would kill any man that hit her, after making claims that William Dazley had hit her. The Marsh test was used to detect the arsenic in William Dazley's body, and the result was used as forensic evidence against Dazley. It only took 30 minutes for the jury to convict Dazley for the murder of her second husband. So, what is this Marsh test then? Well, the Marsh test is a highly sensitive method in the detection of arsenic, especially useful in the field of forensic toxicology. When arsenic was used as a poison, it was developed by the chemist James Marsh and first published in 1836. Arsenic in the form of white arsenic trioxide was a highly favored poison, being odorless, easily incorporated into food and drink, and before the advent of the Marsh test, untraceable in the body. In France, it came to be known as inheritance powder. For the untried arsenic poisoning, will have symptoms similar to cholera. Yeah, that was kind of interesting. I mean, she had no idea she would be found out. She thought she was safe, easy to use poison, making their own pill. I mean, she had a pretty good plan, she thought, until the police and scientists did this marsh test. And it's always a fight between the bad and the good, and hopefully the good always wins. Well, not always, but this time they did. Anywho, let's go to the next subject. Interestingly as this was, we jump to mental health, therapy, and therapy pets. In this episode, mental health section, I'm going to talk a little bit about different types of therapy. So, what is therapy then? Well, psychotherapy, also called talk therapy or usually just therapy, is a form of treatment aimed at relieving emotional distress and mental health problems. Provided by any of a variety of trained professionals, psychiatrists, psychologists, social workers, or licensed counselors. It involves examining and gaining insight into life choices and difficulties faced by individuals, couples, or families. Therapy sessions refer to structured meetings between a licensed provider and a client with the goal of improving some aspects of their life. Yeah, I think that's very important to remember, because many people may think that, okay, going to a therapist is like using a magic wand, that after a session or two you will be feeling very good and well, and that's not always the case. It takes quite some time. Okay, so that's the explanation of the word therapy. But what else is there except just talking? Well, there are also all sorts of different therapy pets. So what are they and what do they do? Well, therapy pets can include dogs, cats, rabbits, birds, guinea pigs, rats, miniature pigs, llamas, alpacas, horses, donkeys, and mini horses. I would never have imagined all these strange animals, but yeah, okay. As long as they're at least a year old and have lived with their owner for 6 months, according to Pet Partners in the US. Unlike service animals, therapy animals don't help their owners perform tasks. Emotional support animals, ESA, can improve depression by reducing stress and increasing social support. Yeah, interesting. Let's see what else is said about that. Well, emotional support animals may be particularly beneficial for people who are struggling with depression, while service dog assists with disabilities such as mobility or visual impairments. Emotional support animals help with emotional distress and offer stability for people experiencing mental health difficulties. Many different animals have been tested as emotional support animals, including farm animals and companion animals like dogs and cats. The therapeutic use of animals for people with mental disorders is referred to as animal-assisted interventions and is guided by a therapist with expertise in this area. The most common emotional support animals for depression are dogs and cats. Emotional support animals can be used in several different environments, including schools, airports, college campuses, and at home. The presence of emotional support animals can alleviate negative feelings in the short term and boost long-term mood and functioning in people with mood disorders. How emotional support animals help with depression? The benefits of an emotional support animal for depression impact physiological, emotional, and psychological well-being. In general, emotional support animals can help with depression by offering reassurance and companionship to people experiencing low mood or clinical depression. More specifically, emotional support animals can improve some of the physical markers of depression, mainly by reducing high states of anxiety and arousal common in depression. They can also support emotional functioning by helping people establish social interactions and connections. They can also act as a buffer in social situations that might feel uncomfortable for people with depression. And they can encourage daily interaction and growth of social networks, which can protect against low mood. Caring for emotional support animals can build self-efficacy, or the belief that a person can control a given outcome, which can improve depression. Interestingly, emotional support animals can be particularly helpful for single people and women, as women have been found to have more positive attitudes and behaviors toward animals. However, benefits of emotional support animals have been found in people of all life situations, genders, and ages. Wow, that was a long text and a lot of information, I must say. Well, as I was researching this, I also came across a man that I think it is in the US, a man that has ducks as emotional support animals or therapy pets. And since ducks aren't really accepted as therapy pets or emotional support animals, the states can have a little bit of an issue with it, but this man feels better when he is taking care of his ducks and he is around them, and that's good because this all have to do with feeling better and not being in a downward spiral, so to speak. So everything is good as long as it doesn't hurt anyone. And I don't think his love will hurt the ducks, and I don't think the ducks will hurt this man. And I, for one, know that I have had a cat since I was 10 years old in the mid-70s, and my cats have always made me feel better when I was sad or whatever happened. The cats have always made me feel better. And I know people around me that have dogs and stuff, and they feel better when they can go out walking the dog or having the dog around, and it will be a more uncomplicated meeting with other people, and people seems to gather around a person with a dog, and they can sit and chat for a while and then just say, hey, I had to walk, I have to get the dog home and whatnot, and there's really never any problems. So maybe it's like other things in the mental health section, that maybe people use them as therapy pets but really doesn't realize it. Maybe that's the thing. And well, then that's a a very good hidden therapy treatment if you feel upset or mad or sad or depressed or whatever it might be. And they can just make you happy if you have been away for a while in the day and you come home and you have a cat outside and the cat comes running to you and purring and everything, and it makes you happy to see that. So it feels good. You get this feel good emotion, and I think it's called endorphins is running around, and it's just a very nice thing. And you don't have to take pills and get a lot of side effects. So the only side effect is, of course, that you will only talk about pets and animals, but it's the same thing with parents that have just had a baby or several, they will only talk about the babies all the time. I don't even know if they think about it, but there will be baby talk 24/7. And I think it's much the same that if you are have a cat or a dog or maybe several, that you really do talk about your animal 24/7. Anyway, I will not continue to talk endlessly about this because time's up. And well, I hope that we can hear each other. Yes, sure. I hope that you will tune in and listen again next week in Behind the Scenes with me, Sandra Frilund, on episode 4. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.